Vegetables are, there's so many parts of vegetables that are recyclable. For instance, the peels of peas everybody throws away, they're edible. Potato skin, edible. Radish greens, beetroot greens, all very edible. Now what I do with when I buy pumpkin is the seeds of the pumpkin. Of course, a lot of people eat them as pumpkin seeds, but since you get just a handful at a time, I just throw them into a pot and grow them, and they grow very fast, and they're absolutely yummy to eat. You can cook them, you can steam them, you can just throw them raw into a salad, and they're very healthy. Lots of antioxidants and all sorts of minerals and stuff like that in it. In fact, this is my celery, which I have done from celery stalks that I had bought, and I cut off the stems and use the root part of it to regrow my celery. And of course there's some basil happening here, and it's crazy how much you can do with a little bit of mud and a few pots and things from waste from your kitchen. Let's get down to cooking. Today we are using pumpkin greens to make a very typical Bengali dish called Moricher Jhol, which is a vegetable stew. It uses a medley of vegetables like pumpkin and brinjal and potatoes and ridge gourd and pointed gourd and all sorts of stuff like that. For people who are Hindi speaking, that's bengan and tori and jhinga tori and kaddu and aloo and parmal. This recipe is really very simple. It hardly has any ingredients at all, and the flavor comes from all the vegetables themselves. So it uses nigella seeds, kalonji, and it uses a little bit of flour to thicken the sauce and a little milk, and these 5-6 different kinds of vegetables. You can do your own mix of vegetables, but just keep in mind that you don't put in anything which is excessively flavorful, like radish or stuff like that. You put 1 teaspoon of oil to heat. You add the nigella seeds and let them splutter a bit, and once you start getting the fragrance of the nigella seeds, you pop in the vegetables that need longer to cook, like the potatoes and the pumpkin and stuff. Add some salt. And just sort of toss them around in that oil for a minute or two, cover it, and while you go and get yourself a cup of water, and that's all the time it takes. And then you add the water and just let it simmer for maybe 10 minutes or so till the potato starts softening. Then you add the softer vegetables like the pumpkin leaves, and in case you're using something like cabbage leaves or something like that, and again let it simmer for a little while. The one special ingredient that this dish does have is a spoonful of sugar. Bengalis in any case like a little bit of sweet in their food, but this one needs to be slightly more sweet than usual. So apart from salt, you also add a teaspoon of sugar. And before you take it off, you add the milk with the flour mixed into it so that it thickens a little bit. And ideally this should be eaten with a type of lemon you get in Bengal called Gandharaj lebu. But since I don't have access to that lemon over here, I've used kaffir lime leaves, and I've sort of just crushed them up and put them into the gravy so that it sort of, the flavor sort of permeates through the whole dish. And that's it. Ideally you should have it like at room temperature with a nice bowl of steamed rice, and it's so cooling, I can't tell you. So you use this one green chili, or or two maybe maximum, because you don't want anything which is too overpowering in terms of taste. I've used these Bhavnagari chilies because they have a lot of fragrance and flavor, and they're not so spicy. So I've used a couple of those, sliced up, taken out the seeds, and used that. And if you want, when finishing off, you can sprinkle a little coriander leaves on it. My mother used to, and it does taste very nice. So this is a dish with no ginger, no onions, no garlic. It's a summer cooler, so no heating things have been added to it, and it's not spicy, and it's yummy, and it's lovely. You can have it at any time of day and night, even without the rice. It doesn't have to be a meal. Growing vegetables or plants, herbs out of your kitchen waste is such a huge sense of accomplishment. It not just gives you fresh food, but it makes you feel so good, when you see those little buds sprouting out of the mud, green and beautiful. I've actually grown potatoes, I've grown chilies, I've grown those bird's eye chilies, Karela ones. Then of course there was Gandharaj lebu. One of my Gandharaj lebu trees has gone away to a farm, the other one died. And even just regular lemon and all sorts of things. Pumpkin greens and pumpkin flowers, of course. I've never grown it to the fruit level because that requires mud in greater quantities. But it's been great fun, and it's good. It keeps you occupied. It makes you feel as if you're doing something worthwhile, nurturing. And especially in these days, when you're sort of locked up in your little apartment, all you need to do is find a space with a little sunlight and get a pot with a little mud and grow something. It feels good. I do hope you guys will try this recipe. It's very simple and it's really delicious. And please stay safe. The second wave of COVID is upon us, and it's scary out there. Just stay at home and watch The Slow Fire Chef. And if you haven't subscribed as yet, please subscribe. It's just a button away.